It's fun, right? It's like a big event, right?
Welcome everybody to the 14th annual poster session, senior thesis poster session. So I'm thrilled to welcome you to Barnard. And my name is Martin Stuter. I'm a professor in the Environmental Science Department and a researcher at Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory as well. So we will be celebrating the work of our students who are majors in environmental science, environmental policy, environmental biology, and sustainable development at Columbia and Barnard. It's a giant class that has students from all these different departments together, all doing environmental stuff. So it's really going to be a lot of fun. Before we start, I wanted to briefly thank the many people that are involved in this. So you see the upper 8 pictures are the faculty in the senior seminar. All the departments and programs are represented in there. It's a lot of work, so thank you very much to all of them. On the lower left, we have Leslie and Catherine and Pamela from Barnard and the Earth Institute who help us setting this up, doing a wonderful job through the semester supporting the senior seminar. And then we have financial support from our provost, Linda Bell, and from Steve Cohen, the Earth Institute. So we thank them also. And there are many, many other funders that support the program as well. And last but not least, I want to thank all the research mentors, all those of you who work with students for the last year or sometimes 2 years on their research project, and supporting them in their work. That's just really fantastic. Before we start, I just wanted to ask you to perhaps move in a little bit so that people that come late can still find a seat on the edges and they won't disturb you. That would be great. And also take a moment to shut off your cell phone or lower the volume so that doesn't disturb the students. One brief word about the picture that you see. I noticed that a lot of people looked at this poster and said beautiful, and they didn't notice anything. There's something really weird about this picture. It was taken on December, December 6th? December 10th. And it has a dogwood tree behind Low Library in full bloom, and yet the tree has fall leaves, right? That's really strange, isn't it? It's beautiful, but it's weird, and we all probably with climate change in our future, we probably can expect a lot of weirdness coming up, things like that. The students now will present for 30 seconds their work. They will summarize their senior thesis in 30 seconds, which is an amazing feat. We'll go one by one on the list that you have in front of you. The first 40 students that you see on the list are presenting today. There are another 10 students that are on the list, but they were fall candidates, so they finished the senior summer and the fall semester, and they have job interviews, they have graduated, so they unfortunately can't be here. I also would like you to hold the applause until all the students have presented, because we want to not spend too much time on these presentations, but also have time to look at the posters. So, let's go ahead.
Hi, I'm Emma Bartnick, and I tested 2 equations for the biomass of black birch trees in Black Rock Forest. Northeastern deciduous forests are significant carbon sinks, and therefore play an important role in the terrestrial carbon cycle. It's been found that Black Rock Forest, along with similar forests in the Hudson Highlands, is exhibiting a transition in understory composition toward a more black birch heavy composition. In order to evaluate the impact of this change on biomass and carbon storage in the forest, we first need an accurate way to measure biomass of black birch trees. Once a reliable equation has been established, it can be determined if this change in forest composition will have an effect on carbon sequestration in northeastern deciduous forests. Thank you.
Hi, I studied the seasonal variability of 5 deciduous tree species throughout the growing season. Through analysis of their leaf pigments, nutrients, and physiology, I found that trees that produce normal amounts of anthocyanins follow normal trends throughout the season. But red oak trees, which produce little to no anthocyanins and keep their brown leaves attached late into the season, had the highest levels of photosynthetic efficiency in autumn. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marissa Wasmuth, and my research is on the effects of different road sizes on bird populations, with particular interest in at-risk species and interior forest birds in Black Rock Forest. Roads have been shown to have detrimental effects on ecological communities, which by and large have experienced significant declines in biodiversity. My hope is that such research may be taken into account in park and forest development and management. Thank you.
I'm Taylor Minnick, and I study paternal kin recognition in blue monkeys. According to kin selection theory, related individuals receive an indirect benefit to their fitness by cooperating. And blue monkeys have been shown to bias their behavior toward maternal kin. By calculating the proportion of time an adult female subject spent with her partner to the total time that the subject and partner were together, for 3 cooperative behaviors, I found no significant difference between paternal kin and unrelated individuals. Blue monkeys do not bias their behavior towards paternal kin. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Lee West. The relationship between leopards and chacma baboons represents a key predator-prey dynamic, as leopards are baboons' primary predators in many parts of Africa. In my research, I used GPS data to examine interactions between these 2 species and behavioral data to investigate baboons' vigilance behavior in high and low-risk areas. The results supported the idea that although baboons might be fairly adaptive when it comes to anti-predator strategies, they may not have a wholly accurate perception of the risk they face.
Hi, I'm Karen. Last summer, I interviewed 33 shellfishers in Nangini, Fiji, and surveyed the adjacent reef on snorkel. I identified the most heavily targeted mollusk species and found that their size has decreased over generations by asking people about the biggest giant clam they remember catching. Also, older fishers were likelier to say that the reef was depleted than their younger counterparts, suggesting that conservation incentive is declining. For the future, I suggest setting size limits for mollusk harvesting and expanding the village's maroon protected area into deeper water. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Marie. People's values and attitudes regarding the natural world, determine the level of care with which they approach the use of natural resources. I studied how human relationships with nature influence people's actions, using western red cedar, which is an important tree in British Columbia, as a case study, and additionally how this dynamic is influenced by cultural backgrounds. I interviewed First Nations individuals and ecosystem-based foresters and found that both groups have a personal, often spiritual relationship with nature. They value long-term management and have similar environmental concerns. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jordan Burns, and my project focused on uncovering the reciprocal relationship between the environment and religion. Given Pope Francis's most recent encyclical, Laudato Si, which encouraged a dialogue on climate change, I was interested in finding or establishing a religious precedent for environmental advocacy. I analyzed foundational religious texts with particular attention paid to the Bible, and looking for environmental cues, regional environmental cues, as a means for establishing one's relationship with God. Ultimately, I evaluated the environmental discourse to find how religion and faith play their role in interpreting one's approach to the environment. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alexis Hughesby, and my thesis quantifies corporate greenwashing trends in the materials and energy sectors. Greenwashing, or presenting a company as more sustainable than it is a threat especially prevalent in extractive industries. I textually analyzed annual reports for phrases related to the environment and sustainability, and compared the results to scores from a third-party ranking system. I found low correlation between rankings of words and actions, indicating that investors and individuals cannot necessarily rely on words in these sectors. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Catherine Barr. In the past few decades, children's dietary health and nutrition has become a critical issue in American society. My research focused on the ways that nutrition education and wellness education can help us understand and positively influence the ways that elementary school students think and perceive school food, particularly during school lunch. My research has shown that these programs have the potential to positively influence elementary school students' perceptions of food to enable them to make healthier student decisions. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Valentina, and on April 25th of 2015, Nepal was struck by a 7.8 magnitude earthquake, which killed over 9,000 people and injured over 20,000 people. Developing countries like Nepal are most vulnerable to natural disasters due to a lack of sustainable infrastructure, gender barriers, and rampant poverty. In light of local gender roles in social and economic sectors, as well as Nepal's natural disaster management plan, it becomes increasingly important to consider women, their level of preparedness, and recovery. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Alison Corley. I performed an analysis of sediments from the Mono Lake Basin that contain a record of the Earth's past magnetic field. I considered factors that influence the extent to which the sediments are able to preserve a high fidelity record, and these included inorganic carbon content, grain size, and sedimentation rate. Ultimately, my findings found that support the possibility that a magnetic anomaly present in my samples may have been partially overwritten by a subsequent increase in the intensity of the geomagnetic field. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nada Vasquez, and I compared sediment from 2 localities in Warner Lake, California, possibly recording the Helena-Pali excursion. Excursions are anomalies in the Earth's magnetic field, similar to reversal events, but with a lesser degree of change occurring over a shorter period of time. The Earth's past magnetic field can be recorded in sediments as they are deposited and are studied to better understand aspects of the Earth's history. At Warner Lake, they're a helpful geochronological tool. Thank you.
My name is Chasen Goldschmidt, and for my thesis, I have been working on developing and refining a method for taking a single sediment aliquot and running multiple analytical processes on it, and then testing that method on ice core samples from Antarctica. And the main goal of this overall is to create a process whereby we can have less sample and get more data out of it, get more precise data by not having to necessarily average over multiple aliquots, and then be able to take this process and use it not only for ice cores, but other areas that also have very small or rare samples, such as deep sea sediments or even potentially extraterrestrial sediments. Thank you.
My name is Parker Case, and I study the effect of stratospheric water vapor in large volcanic eruptions. So after large volcanic eruptions, the materials from those eruptions quickly oxidize to become sulfuric acid and eventually sulfur aerosols. These sulfur aerosols create a layer, which you can see in this photo, which cools down the surface of the Earth ultimately. Using the NASA GISS climate model, I modeled an eruption which contained water and one which did not contain water, and the one which contained water more closely matched observations. Thank you.
My name is Zach Wiles, and for my thesis, I studied volcanic products to determine the magma composition and water content for 2 eruptions of Westall Volcano in Alaska. Westall's had 3 recent eruptions in 1964, 1978, and 1991. And I compared the 64 and 91 eruptions because they were similar in their volcanic characteristics, with the key difference that the 91 eruption was more explosive. And the magma composition and water content were found to be very similar for the 2 eruptions, so there's probably a different cause for the explosivity. And one possibility for this might be a faster magma ascent time for the 91 eruption. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hannah Jane Cohen, and I did my thesis on Iceland's Hálahraun lava flow. Using a collection of aerial images taken by a drone named Phantom, I used Structure for Motion, or SFM, software to create 3 models, one PLY, one DEM, and one orthomosaic, of 2 portions of the lava flow. I then used these to study the distribution of morphologies. My research will be helpful for those studying not only Hálahraun, but also lava morphology in general. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Kate. Marine sediments provide well-preserved and temporal records of volcanic history. As volcanic ash is deposited on the seafloor, it is preserved in 2 forms, as discrete and dispersed tephra. Dispersed tephra is widely left out of volcanic records as it is difficult to isolate and quantify. In this study, I took a chemical approach to quantifying dispersed tephra and found that it made up a significant portion of the marine sediments we studied. We hope that this method will be used in the future to construct more precise volcanic records that are used to study connections between volcanism and global climate. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Shiwan, and for my senior thesis project, I analyzed 2 cores from the subantarctic South Pacific to reconstruct dust flux in the last ice age using inorganic proxies. Dust is a major source of iron into the ocean, and increased iron input promotes photosynthesis of marine organisms, which reduces atmospheric carbon dioxide. So my research results show that dust flux during the glacial was 3 to 4 times higher than during the interglacials. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Jason Swan, and my thesis involves a new way to measure atmospheric CO2 levels using coccolithophores. Coccolithophores are a marine algae that use carbon for both photosynthesis and calcification. Due to their high carbon demand, coccolithophores have developed a strategy to reallocate bicarbonate away from calcification into photosynthesis at low aqueous CO2 levels. Recent studies in the Atlantic provide support for this, and I generate similar records in my thesis to help test the hypothesis that bicarbonate reallocation is a robust phenomenon. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kayla Farrell. Diatoms, a group of marine eukaryotic phytoplankton, are an important force in driving and maintaining the global cycling of carbon. Diatoms require iron in trace amounts to carry out necessary cellular energy-generating activities. I studied the uptake of particulate iron for the two kinds of diatoms pictured here. I found direct contact is needed for cultures of cells to reach higher cell densities, and that cultures with added glacial particulates were more successful. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Andres Salazar, and I studied the distribution of trichodesmium clades in the South Pacific Ocean. This genus of cyanobacteria is estimated to contribute a significant portion of the global biofixation of atmospheric nitrogen into the ocean. In our study, we used a recently developed method of qPCR to quantify its two major clades using field samples. We assessed concentrations, proportions, and correlations that suggest a potential relationship of temperature and distribution with clade-specific niches. Thank you.
Although nitrate is one of the most common and ubiquitous groundwater contaminants, there is currently no way to accurately determine its concentration in the field. Field kits work almost instantaneously, but they are often imprecise because they rely on subjective color matches, and when lab methods are used, there is a delay between when samples are collected and when results are obtained. Therefore, we sought to create a method of rapidly determining nitrate concentrations by analyzing colors extracted from photos of field kits. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ana Gonzalez. There is such a low amount of phosphorus in the Sargasso Sea that its availability is controlled by microbial cycling, basically whether or not it is being held inside of a cell. The purpose of my thesis was to assess how this cycling changes when a microbe uses organic versus inorganic phosphorus. Using radioactively labeled phosphorus to track cycling, I found that Synechococcus, a microbe found in the Sargasso Sea and worldwide, can cycle phosphorus more quickly when it comes from an organic source. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jimin. Bioactive soil microbial communities play an important role in nutrient cycling. By increasing water holding capacity of soil, bioactive soil microbial communities also play an important role in stormwater management function of green infrastructure installations. This study found that application of canine urine decreased fungal richness, which may decrease nutrient recycling potential in soil. Results from this study will be useful in the management of ground level green infrastructure installations. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rachel Tao. Green roofs are largely designed to reduce stormwater runoff in urban areas. I studied water use in plant species on New York green roofs using thermal imagery and measurements of water flux through the leaves as compared with changes in environmental variables during the day. As you can see in this graph, water flux is following a similar trend to those of light and air temperature. We found significant differences in leaf level water flux between species. These results were supplemented with an imposed drought experiment where we found species differences in water use at the whole plant scale. Species found to use more water contribute more positively to urban wastewater management than low water users. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Claudia Nunch, and my research concerns New York City's water protection policy and its effects on agriculture, energy, and economy in upstate New York. I have found that regulations have been effective at reducing agricultural pollution in the watershed, but remaining threats such as residential waste, hydraulic fracturing, and Indian Point Power Plant continue to jeopardize the quality of our water.
Hi, my name is Joelle Boxer, and for my thesis, I studied suboptimal access to low arsenic deep tube wells in Ari Hazar, Bangladesh. Deep tube wells are an important public health tool because they can provide water with lower levels of arsenic that is safe for drinking for long periods of time. For my thesis, I studied accessibility to these wells in the sub-district of Ari Hazar. I found evidence for elite capture, which is a situation in which individuals of higher economic, political, or social status have disproportionately high access to a public good, while villagers of lower status lack access to this essential government resource. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Fedwa Saber, and my thesis project is on the difference between cooked and uncooked rice in rural areas of Bangladesh. We found that the arsenic is more highly concentrated in the cooked rice as opposed to the uncooked rice as opposed to the cooked rice. The reason we were studying this is because arsenic is a major public health issue globally, including Bangladesh. We also found that cooking rice in low arsenic water will decrease the overall concentration of arsenic. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Barsa, and I studied the relationship between climate variability and rice yield in aerosol-affected Central Eastern India. India is one of the largest producers of rice in the world, and the production of rice still depends on monsoon rainfall. Anthropogenic emissions of aerosols in the last few decades have substantially reduced rainfall in eastern central India. My study explores the influence of precipitation and other climatic factors on rice yields in this region. I found that though aerosols don't directly affect crop yields substantially, they have a large negative influence through their weakening effect of rainfall in eastern central India relative to other parts of India. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hadil. Hydraulic fracturing is a process that pushes pressurized water mixed with sand and chemicals in order to extract natural gas from shale formations. This study attempted to assess the impact of hydrofracking on groundwater quality in Pennsylvania while using New York, where fracking is banned, as a control location. There was not enough evidence suggesting that there is a difference in groundwater quality between Pennsylvania and New York. However, a larger data set is needed to answer the research questions with certainty. Thank you.
Estimates suggest that greenhouse gas emissions from the industrial sector contribute about 57% to global climate change. I investigate the potential of carbon nanofibers in the replacement of industrial materials, steel, aluminum, and cement. A new high-yield and inexpensive process synthesizes carbon nanofibers using CO2 from the ambient air. I evaluate the amount of carbon emissions that would not only be taken out of the atmosphere, but conserved. Thank you.
The way in which current biofuels are produced emits almost as much carbon dioxide as the fossil fuels they were meant to replace. The results of my research show that biofuels made from certain species of bamboo can be produced commercially in a system that is entirely carbon neutral. Not only would these fuels effectively be emissions-free, but my financial modeling suggests that they would cost much less than traditional biofuels and even be competitive with oil at current prices. Thank you.
My name is Alison Hooks, and I studied how sea level rise would impact 4 marshes on the Hudson River. Sea level rise threatens to submerge marshes, but marshes are dynamic ecosystems that can adapt by migrating inland and by growing vertically. I found that these marshes were able to survive low rates of sea level rise. However, their topography and their accretion rate determines their resiliency to higher rates of sea level rise. My findings can be used to help inform conservation strategies.
Hi, my name is Adrian Jaycox. The ongoing drought in California has been record-breaking by several measures, with global warming already increasing its effects. For my thesis, I studied how temperature and precipitation affect water resources and across different regions and drought severities. This project is unique in that it uses San Francisco Public Utilities Commission data and measures that water managers use to address drought. My results highlight the role maximum temperature and different precipitation periods have on the drought. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Miljan Todorovic, and this year I researched the nexus between climate and water availability in California. The recent El Niño event led many to ask how much we can rely on these events to alleviate serious drought conditions, such as the one in California. I used El Niño precipitation and groundwater data and did not find that singular events, such as the past one, have effects on groundwater. However, they do affect surface water through precipitation. This calls for both an increase in sustainable use of groundwater, especially for agricultural purposes, and it calls for an improvement of the data collection process in terms of groundwater use statewide. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anna, and I have been researching spatial variations in evapotranspiration sensitivity across Africa. One of the many negative impacts of deforestation is reduced evapotranspiration that can lead to drought and altered weather patterns. However, not all locations play an equal role in maintaining the continental water balance. My research shows that tropical savannas are the biome that have the highest evapotranspiration sensitivity, and therefore for water management should be a priority for forest conservation. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Grace Kim, and for my thesis, I used various mapping and graphing tools to better understand the spatial and temporal variations of child asthma outcomes in New York City. Since 2002, under the Bloomberg and de Blasio administrations, New York City has implemented many new policies and initiatives to improve air quality. My research can advise policymakers on high-risk areas and also encourage further research on contextual and socioeconomic factors that affect health outcomes. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Faisal, and for my project, I examined how camel trade patterns in Egypt may be facilitating the spread of the Middle East respiratory syndrome virus. Relying on observational research, I developed a network of camel movement onto which I imposed camel-human interactions to pinpoint hotspots of infection risk. I determined that butchers, handlers, and animal health workers are at highest risk of infection. This project provides a framework for MERS sampling, leading to more effective prevention measures in camels and humans alike. Thank you.
Disorders related to red blood cells afflict more than 600 million people worldwide. With the recent explosion in genomic data, there are a wide range of revealing questions that we can ask about these processes. For my project, I selected 121 of the core genes involved in the red blood cell development process to understand the evolutionary pressures that are acting on them across 60 different taxa. The statistically rigorous bioinformatics pipeline that I developed will also be valuable for understanding other important genetic networks. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Melissa Cito. During the summer of 2012, the eastern U.S. experienced a record-breaking heat wave. At the same time, two types of air pollutants, ozone and particulate matter, exceeded national standards. High temperature, ozone, and particulate matter can lead to premature death. I examined mortality due to these three factors across time and space during the summer 2012 in the eastern US, and I found that ozone tended to cause the greatest amount of mortality. Better understanding of mortality due to heat waves can help policymakers make better decisions about the health effects of future heat waves. Thank you.
Right, wonderful job you guys did. So if you're inspired by these presentations and you haven't worked with undergraduates before and you don't know how, on the back of your program there's some contact information, and there's also the link to the senior seminar website if you want to hear more about what we do in the senior seminar. And please be in touch. We love to have mentors, more mentors, and you see great things come out of it when you work with undergraduate students.